Yes, now we can. So again, like go from the very beginning, like step one to, okay, now the thing is live.
So we're starting at the Lightsail instance. So the first step is to create a Lightsail instance. So a Lightsail instance is just a machine in the cloud, essentially. It's a computer that you can connect to and run whatever code you want. So to do this, uh, a lot of this, a lot of the platform and like the blueprint aren't super essential because the code we write could run anywhere. For example, you could run your Ruby code on any machine essentially. But uh, for this instance, I used Linux and Ubuntu. So to do that, you would click this button. So I am right now on lightsail.aws.amazon.com, which is just the Lightsail Amazon homepage. You
Mhm.
click create instance, and then you just follow the instructions here. So you click Linux/Unix, OS only, and Ubuntu. And that just gives us a clean setup from which we can build the rest of our application. A lot of this other stuff, for example, apps in OS, that is if you have a pre-designed stack or if you want to have like a jumping off point, right? But we already have an application built, so we only need the OS. From here, we don't need to change any of this. This lets us choose how much memory we want, how big the instance is. You can see the pricing tiers here. For example, $10 would give us 2 GB of memory and one CPU, as well as 60 GB of SSD.
So right now on Heroku, we've got 512 megabytes. What's the
Yes.
CPU and the SSD that we have on Heroku right now?
I'm not sure, but I think it would be around half a CPU.
Can we check right
But
now and let's just find
yeah,
out because this way we again before we switch we have to be 100% certain about what we're switching to. So if it's that if we're on this right now we're on the $3.5 a month plan, right?
no, we're on the $5.
So why did it end up being 17 or 30 like something like that? Was that because of the
There's
Postgres database?
Yeah, I'll get to that shortly, but the Postgres database costs a lot as well.
Okay. All right. So this is basically the what we're choosing here. This plan is equivalent to the dynos on
Yeah,
Heroku.
it's just a dyno essentially. Yeah.
So we're on the I
I don't
don't
believe they tell you how many CPUs you get. Yeah, that's
I don't think
interesting.
we're not on the hobby plan, are we?
Or not?
We're on standard one time. That's the one we're
Uh,
on.
Interesting.
Um,
I don't think they tell us. Yeah, they
so,
don't say how much CPU we get.
but it's assuming that if it's 512 megabytes RAM and we're getting with the Heroku with the AWL Lightsail, we're getting 2 gigabytes of RAM for $10 a month.
Yeah, we'd get 2 GB.
So let me just ask you: does that mean that because we're always on Heroku pushing the envelope beyond 512, does that mean if we switch tier, the site would probably run a lot faster?
Depending on if memory is a constraint. So I haven't really looked at the dashboard yet, but I would
Mhm.
guess at certain instances when we're pushing that envelope, the extra memory would help, and it would probably make it faster in that case.
The fourth line it talks about storage. Do we have
Yeah,
storage on Heroku?
I don't believe the storage matters that much for our use case. That would be, for example, if we were writing if we're storing files on the file system, but we're not doing that because we're putting everything in S3.
Okay, got it. And what about transfer?
That's how much network transfer you have access to.
And we're not really
So
doing transfers, are we?
no, this should not matter. 3 TB would be more than enough.
Okay. And
Which
how long are we locked? Is this something we pay per month or is it per year?
the good thing about AWS is you pay for what you use, right? So if we want to stop using AWS at any point, we can just cancel it. We can turn off our instances, and we would no longer be charged.
Okay.
I believe it's charged by the hour, so they round to the nearest hour.
So my big concern is how likely are these prices to stay the same over the next 3 to 5 years?
I'm from when I've been using AWS from, I believe, a year and a half ago, the
Mhm.
prices have not changed at all.
It's been like this for 3.5 years.
A year and a half.
Oh, a year and a half. And can you just click on the sort? Oh, that just says sort by. That's just a sort thing.
Yeah.
Never mind. At the top. Okay,
Yeah.
so what happens when you go to next? Like, let's just call it a test instance. Are you logged into the breakdiving account or your account right now?
My account. Well,
Okay.
my account with permissions on the breakdiving instance.
So how would you be able to transfer what you did on breakdiving over to ours, or would we have to create it all over again?
Well, I'm creating it. I believe you should have access to this because I'm doing it as a user of the breakdiving
Oh, I
organization.
see. You're in your own AWS account as a user who has authority to access and
Yeah.
use breakdiving account. Can you just
Yeah.
so identify? Can you just call this like test
Test.
one or something? Yeah. And
Yep.
then this is what you did, and then you just put create instance.
Yep. And then you'll see test one is starting up. It'll take, I think, a minute or so to start up. But
No, Leo, we'll keep all the data. That's what I'm actually want. That's what Robert's doing right now is showing us how he transferred everything that we currently have on Heroku, including all the posts, the dives, the data, chat room messages over
No, I
to.
mean, you asked them before about if those prices already changed, like after 3 years, and then we should get back to Heroku again. So is it okay to just get back to that server, to that previous servers, or this will affect us, or we will lose all the data?
If we switch over, we're very unlikely to ever go back to Heroku again, because Heroku is way too expensive. And if we continue to grow like we are, and I think we all agree that we're onto something here, Heroku would end up eventually costing us like $10,000 a month. Or I don't know,
yeah,
100,000 a
Wow.
month. And
Oh
so
yeah.
Amazon, it's a much bigger company, and it's a lot harder to get set up with it. That's why most people use Heroku, because it's very easy. But it comes with a cost as you expand. So Robert had the good sense and wherewithal to actually figure out how to transfer everything from Heroku to Lightsail. And so that's what he's going over with us now, is how to do that. And I'm asking him to repeat the steps because we have a number of other sites as well. And redundancy is the key in any good company. We don't want Robert to be the only uh, gatekeeper to Lightsail, because we need to make sure that the rest of us are just as, or at least moderately proficient in doing the same thing. So just keep watching, this is great that you're on the call, Leo. It'll give you just another perspective, and you'll be able to help us with this down the line more. So now you created the test one, and it's up and running now.
yeah.
So what was the next step that you did then to transfer everything over into that?
So from here, we want to write. So from here, we can click this button, this shell icon, right? And that will actually drop us into a shell on the machine. So we would, as you can see here, now I am on the machine that we just created.
Hmm.
So this would be similar to the Windows Linux subsystem,
Yep.
except for instead of being on your computer, it's on a random AWS, like a random machine in the AWS cloud.
Let me stop real quick for 1 second. Does that mean if we switch to AWS Lightsail, we cannot use the local Ubuntu? We always have to log into this one?
No, we could still use the local Ubuntu. We would develop locally, right? But when we push to the server, we would be running on here.
I see. Interesting. Okay, go on. Continue. Thank you,
It'd be the
Robert.
same as Heroku. I think Heroku kind of obfuscates this away from you, but this is what is actually happening in the back end.
Okay, so if you do so right now, this is as if we're in a blank repository now that's hosted on Lightsail.
Yeah, this is just very, this is a completely blank server because I just started it up.
Got it. Okay.
So the next steps are a bit more complicated. So the first thing I did was to Dockerize the application. So what that means is in recent years, there's been a trend towards containerizing services, which is where we want to make services easily reproducible. So let me rephrase that. We want to have a way to reliably deploy services regardless of what machine they're running on. So the way we do that is called a Docker file,
No,
which
wait,
essentially,
let me just stop. When you say regardless of which machine, do you mean Mac, PC, Linux, or
yeah,
individual or different computers?
just like regardless of where it's running. So it could be running on your computer, on the cloud, it could be Windows or Linux. We don't want any of that to matter. So
Got it.
that's the intuition or the idea behind why we want a Docker file. So a Docker file is just a way to specify how to deploy our application essentially. So I can actually bring up the Docker file. So this is the test terminal we have, but I can also, here, let me copy. I'm going to start the actual machine where I have my work done. So yeah, you can see I have a lot of stuff already written. So I added a few new files.
I'm sorry, didn't hear you added a what file?
I've added a few new files.
Oh, okay.
So one of them is the Docker file. And you can see here, I have it on my screen right now. A lot of these directives, you probably don't need to know what they do because there's a lot of templating involved. For example, a lot of Ruby applications use a very similar Docker file because they all run on Ruby on Rails, for example, right? Like the only thing changing is the code inside. So what this does is it tells the machine or it tells Docker to start from Ruby, and then it installs Rails in PostgreSQL, and then it essentially does the steps that we would do to install BD community on our machines. So as you can see, we're installing bundler, we're running bundle install, and then we're just copying everything over.
So did you run each of these lines individually, or is this what Docker did for you?
This is what Docker would do. So we write these lines, we specify these lines, and then Docker would read the file, and then from this file, it would know, oh, it should first create a directory called my app, and then it should copy the gem files over, and then it should set the Rails environment to production.
So, and this is where is it grabbing all of the gem file and the Rails environment production data from? From our code base?
Yeah, from our application.
So from our actual BD community repository.
Yeah, because I've downloaded the BD community repository on this.
So you downloaded it, connected it to Docker, and then now Docker does this automatically every time it starts.
Yeah.
Does okay, go on.
Okay, so that's the essence behind the Docker file. The main idea is we just want a reliable way to tell the machine how we want our application to be spun up. So that's a Docker file. I also added a few more resources here if you want to take a closer look.
Yeah, I'm going to read those after this meeting. We'll go over all that.
Yeah.
So going back to test one in terminal, what happened from here to the BD community tab in between? How did you get from here to there?
So the first thing I would do would be to clone the BD community repository. So to do that, it would just be a normal git clone, right? I would, let me get I just write git clone. Shoot.
And that's just, yeah, that's typical.
Yeah, and then I would, wait, my password is a bit weird. Wait, I don't know.
Take your time, no rush.
I don't want to, I have like a page with some of my passwords on it. Let me stop screen sharing for a second in case
sure.
I accidentally. Okay. So you could do this with your own password too, essentially.
I can do what?
You would be able to do this with your own credentials. It doesn't have to be mine, obviously.
Yeah, we just need to get access to the repo and then clone it.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm going to show this again. Yeah.
okay.
So I cloned it. As you can see, if we go in here, it's just the entire application,
That's
right?
it. It's right there. Got it. Awesome.
Yeah. So then we need to write the Docker file. So that would be this this file, which I haven't actually committed yet, but I will. I'll create a new branch for it too.
So no, wait. I just my screen went blank for a second. What just happened? What did you just type to create a Docker file?
Well, you would have to write this yourself. I'm using Vim right now, which is just.
Oh, are you in Vim right now?
Yeah, I'm in Vim right now.
Okay, so that could be on Sublime or on VS Studio Code,
Yeah.
whatever.
You would just have to write this out.
All right, so you wrote this Docker file for BD Community, and we would write a separate one for each app, or would it generally be similar for all of the ones that we are doing?
For every Rails application, it would almost exactly be the same. There might be very small differences, but we could pretty much just copy and paste this over.
So the first line is basically installing Ruby 2.6.6.
Yeah.
And the second line, we are installing Node and Postgres SQL.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a Docker file is a prepared, customized file that we already prepare and stays like that whenever we want to do a specific thing.
It's something that we prepare for the application, and it tells Docker, it tells Docker how we want our application to be run.
Okay, got it. All right, so this is setting this thing up, and then you've written that, and then how do you run a doc once this file is saved? Oh, actually, wait. Are you saving this on Lightsail or locally? This is on Lightsail, right?
Yeah, this is on Lightsail.
So where did you save it? You saved it as Docker file up there?
Yeah, it's just
That's
in BD.
a file, or is that a folder?
It's a file.
So okay, you just saved it as a top level file called Docker file.
Yeah.
Okay, and let me ask this: if we were using Sublime or VS Studio Code, or do we have to use Vim on Lightsail?
Well, if we wanted to use Sublime, we'd probably write the Docker file locally, right? And then we would push it to master. We'd push it to GitHub, and then we could just pull.
Oh, got it. And then obviously, then just pull the changes.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. All right, so now we have the Docker file put in there, and is there anything else that you did to get to this point right here?
There's one more thing. Well, this is in the same vein as the Docker file. I also wrote an entrypoint.sh file, which is, again, it's very templated. You can see the comments which I stole from another person. But the idea is this would be where the Docker file starts off from.
Okay, and that's what launches the Docker file.
Yeah, but it's in the same.
Go back to the breakdiving main directory of the repo. Where is that? Oh, entrypoint.sh. And what does sh stand for?
Shell script.
Shell script. Okay.
Yeah. So those are the two things we need to write the Docker file, which is how we want it to be deployed. But to actually deploy the application, I'm going to use something called Docker Compose, which is...
Before you do that, let me ask one more clarifying question. So is Postgres SQL already connected to this app now?
No, not yet. Well...
And Redis, we haven't gotten Redis and all that. That's not set up yet.
Yeah, I'll get to that very shortly.
Okay.
So we use something called Docker Compose, which lets us easily deploy the application. So to do this, there's a Docker Compose file, which is which is one level above the BD community application, but it could actually be, it could be in the same application. It could be in the same directory too, and it's a docker compose.yml.
So,
So you can see here.
above the BD community directory, we're in AWS, Lightsail. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. But the specific location doesn't matter too much. It could also be in the same directory.
Okay. Do you have to if you have to specify where it is so that it knows where to find it?
Well, you would have to specify where the BD community application is relative to the Docker Compose file.
Okay.
So for example, you can see on this line, I tell it to build from /BD community. That's because if you see here, when I do ls, BD community is like adjacent to it, right?
Yeah, and what's the other one? It's the PG. Is it update.say which is the one, or the Docker Compose? Docker Compose. Okay, and Docker Compose is the one that's runs that Docker file.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the way we do that is we use the build directive, which is just what application we want to build or what application we want to run. Mm-hmm. So we're telling it to build from this directory, the BD community directory. And then the command is what command we want to execute. So this is another templated thing. We execute the Rails server on port 3000.
Mm-hmm. Now wait, on port 3000, that means, is it equivalent to localhost?
Yeah, so this would be accessible on localhost. So actually, yeah, I'll do that a bit later. But if we were to visit localhost 3000 on this machine, we would be able to see our application. And I'll explain how we forward that to like a normal connection later.
Yeah, so we can still do coding offline, right?
Yeah.
We don't need to be connected to the internet. We could still do local host PRs and branching and tests.
Yeah. We would just change our code locally. We would push it to GitHub, and then we'd pull the changes onto Lightsail.
Okay.
Which is what we're doing for Heroku actually
Heroku
too, right?
now, yeah.
Yeah, we push to GitHub, and then we push to Heroku.
Got it. Okay.
So we also have an M file. So if you go to Heroku, let me pull up the Heroku dashboard. Actually, okay, I won't. Okay. Is this video going to be distributed publicly or just?
I don't know, I was thinking maybe we could put it onto YouTube, because I thought this would help a lot of people who also want to figure out how to switch to save some money by going to Lightsail. So any of our private stuff, I could also maybe block out something that's not.
Yeah, I don't think any of this stuff is overly private, but yeah. So if I were to click this button, or if you want to go to your own Heroku and click this button,
yeah,
you would see a bunch of environmental variables or config vars. They configure how the application behaves. Mm-hmm. So I've essentially just copied every single one of them into this file called prod.m, which just stands for production environment.
Don't we create that on? Isn't there a production environment file on the Rails in the repository, or is that different?
Yeah, that's a bit different. That's configuration for Rails. These are just environmental variables. So if you click this, you'll see a bunch of key value pairs.
Got it. Okay.
I don't think I can share this on stream though, because a lot of that information is pretty sensitive.
No problem. We can look at that later. And the purpose of setting that up is so that, oh, I see, because those config variables, are those the ones that we pushed using Figaro?
Yeah, they would, for example, we use config variables to specify the Google reCAPTCHA too. I saw one for that.
The Stripe keys.
Yeah, those are all config variables.
AWS key. Okay, got it. All right, so we're just copying them over to Lightsail.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Restart always just tells the application to restart when it crashes, which is just a nice thing to have in case there's an accidental crash. We can recover easily.
But yeah, Heroku does that already automatically, I think, for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we also spin up Redis locally. So the reason why we spin up Redis locally, oh wait, no, we're using Redis locally, but we have a PostgreSQL instance in the cloud. So we have AWS host our PostgreSQL instance separately because a lot of the PostgreSQL database contains a lot of important user information, right? If that were to crash, we would lose everything. On the other hand, Redis is just supposed to be a caching layer, right? Which is why we can host it locally. So even like worst case scenario, if the server completely crashes, we don't actually lose any information.
Because you're saying Redis is sort of acting as a backup for us?
Yeah, it's used to speed things up, but it doesn't actually store any critical information.
So you just said if the Postgres database crashed and we lost everything, why then would Redis help us if it doesn't save everything? Or does it?
I'm saying that Redis is meant as a temporary caching layer, right? So that's why we're running Redis. You can see here in the Docker Compose file, we're specifying web, which is the BD application, and we're also specifying a separate service for Redis. So we're spinning up Redis locally on the Lightsail instance.
You're saying that there will be always a snapshot of time of all the data on Redis. Is that?
No.
No. Okay. So
All right, let me just start over, I guess. So we're spinning up Redis locally on the.
Let me go back. Right now, we're using Redis because my understanding of Redis is the fact that we're using it for the real-time chat and for Action Cable.
Yeah.
Is Redis being used in the same capacity here for like real-time communication, that type of database memories? Yeah. So what exactly does Redis do here that's different than what we're doing it on currently?
We're running it locally, so we're spinning up an instance of Redis through Docker Compose. So you can see here we specify the image Redis 5.0.9. So that's just a Redis version. We could change this probably, and it wouldn't impact too much. Restarts always, and there's something called a volume. So what a volume does is it binds some data on the server, on the Lightsail instance, to the Docker instance. So for example, if we go to, you can see we're mounting /data/ our CTF Redis to /data, right? Actually, I should probably change that. If we ls this repository, I think I need to start the application, but if you were to run this command, when the application was running, you'd be able to see a lot of data in here.
So let me ask this: what data is it storing?
What data is Redis storing?
Yes.
I'm not too sure. I think that would depend on what we're using Redis for, right? I think Bhavya or Ileana would probably know.
Well, I mean, I know what we're doing. I mean, on the community site, we're using Redis it links with Action Cable so that the chat rooms can work. That's that's the main use of it for the real-time chat.
Yeah.
When you say we're spinning up a local instance of Redis, does that mean local on your computer, localhost, or local here on Lightsail, or?
Local on Lightsail.
Okay, local on Lightsail. And why are we spinning this Redis instance up now, but not doing anything with Postgres at this point?
Because we host Postgres on the external server.
I see, and this is on the internal server.
Yeah.
Are we also going to have Redis on the external server?
No.
So all of the chat rooms then are going to be run via the Redis instance that's spun up here.
Yeah.
Okay. And is there anything else that I need to know about does that mean we're not going to be able to manage Redis from like a Lightsail dashboard or something?
Um, it would be more difficult, yes. Do we manage Redis already?
Do we what?
Is there a way for us to manage Redis right now?
Yeah, in Heroku, if you go under, like, scroll up on the Heroku one, resources, then right down, Redis to go. You can click on it and it'll show us I mean, we're on the free plan right now.
Let me pull this up in separate rooms. I think there might be a way. I don't, if it's very critical to if it's like important,
Well, I mean, it's important the fact that we're on the free plan now, and at some point, I mean, on Lightsail, do we have to pay for Redis? Why are we paying for it? Why are there different tiers on Heroku? But
we would not have to pay extra for Redis. It would just it would run on the current Lightsail instance.
so they're not charging us extra for Redis,
They're not.
and we can scale as much as we want without additional cost.
Well, it would use the memory of our Lightsail instance, right? It would use it'd use the 1 gigabyte or 2 gigabytes of RAM of the Lightsail instance. So if we were using too much RAM for Redis, we'd probably have to scale up the instance as well.
That's the big thing about cost that I keep on talking about. Like right now, we don't pay anything extra for Redis. And that's something for you to find out, is to get in touch with Lightsail and find out exactly, hey, what's it going to take, under what. If you go to modify plan or view an elements marketplace, you can see all the different prices right there and what you get for each one. It should be their plans and pricing right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, their free plan is 5 megabytes, right? So even if we add that, it's not like if we want to get to the micro plan, that's 10 megabytes, but that's an order of magnitude smaller than what we'd be getting if we just use Lightsail, right?
Okay, so you're confident that upgrading to Lightsail, we're not going to limit our Redis capabilities and performance.
Yeah, we're not going to be limiting anything, because if you look at these numbers, right, we could comfortably run a far larger Redis instance if we needed to.
Well, go down to medium. I just want to see what the 169 a month one. How many? Now it's at 500 megabytes. Like what comes up to 1 gigabyte? I just want to see.
Big, so that'd be 200 a month.
All right, so it's a bit large, and I don't even know if we would ever have this many connections required.
Probably not.
I don't know. The thing that I'm still trying to figure out is how many Redis connections. How does that equate to how many people can be chatting at one instance and how many chat rooms we can have? And so I still haven't found the answer to that. But as long as you're telling me that it comes from that 1 gigabyte of RAM that we'll have, then I agree it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I'm not too sure about the connection issue either, but we could do some more tests on that later.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch this video again, and we'll watch it with everybody else on the team, and we'll all come up with a million more questions for you. And questions that we're going to ask the Amazon AWS people as well. So we're getting closer. Okay. That sounds great.
So that's how we actually deploy the application.
Wait,
Wait,
it's not deployed yet though, right? I mean, quote unquote, like what would you have to do to run the Docker file and actually launch it and get it?
So now that we've written the Docker compose file and we've provided the prod.env file, we can actually start the application just by doing Docker compose.
Is that similar to git push Heroku master, or is that something different?
That's a bit different. So git push Heroku master pushes the code to Heroku. Docker compose up tells the Docker, it tells Lightsail we want to start our instance. And you should start it based on how we specified it in the Docker compose file.
Okay, so I notice I see the Rails server started down there. Is that, and it says environment production. Does that mean it started live on production, or is this a development environment?
It's a production environment. We want to run our application on production. So if you go to the corresponding URL, you can see that it's started right now.
Now, where did you find, how did you know that was the URL? readcommunity.robertchen.cc.
So I have it's a DNS. I have my own domain, robertchain.cc. And then I pointed a subdomain to the IP of this machine.
All right, so you actually went into your DNS and changed all that.
Yep.
Okay, so that's just the standard stuff for there. And all right, so then once this is all solidified, what would we do? Would we spin up a brand new instance, or we would just change the domain to like breakdiving.org or something?
Yeah, we would just point breakdiving.io to this machine too.
Okay. So now, what if you didn't start this Docker thing when you went to this site? Would it not be up? It would not work?
It would look like that. So I've provided a random error page. This is obviously very ugly right now, but we can make
so
this
if I go to bdcommunity.robertchen.cc right now, will it get the error?
Yeah. We can make this, for example, something that says we're taking a break right now, or we're updating the server.
Where is this an HTML file that you created?
Yeah, it's in errors.
Is that a new folder you created?
Yep. And it's just 502.html.
Oh, wow. And all right, so we can can we use Bootstrap and everything on here?
Yeah, we can put whatever we want in here.
Okay, great. So we can make a beautiful, could we make it look like the homepage in some way?
That might be deceptive though, because even though it would look like the homepage, nothing would work, right? Once they click on something.
I don't mean links and stuff like that, but having we could make it look very similar. Just
yeah,
pictures, colors, images, everything we can add here, no problem.
Yeah, it's just a HTML file that it serves.
Okay, and is there in Lightsail, is there a button or something to put on maintenance mode, or does it all have to be done through the console?
For maintenance mode, we could probably, we could just stop the instance, right? It would have to be done to the console, but we could probably just we could probably just stop the instance, and that would be maintenance mode.
So is this dependable that it's going to, once we start the instance, it will not stop until we tell it to?
Yeah. Or at least
sounds so risky there. Like we have to put like an on switch, and we're just trusting that no one's going to turn the on switch off.
Well, we'd have to run we could also do docker compose -d, which means detach.
Okay.
If we run it like that, the only way it could get stopped would be if someone were to run docker compose stop, like that.
Like that sounds a lot safer.
Yeah.
Like there's literally. Now this is very dangerous though, because anybody who has access to this could docker compose stop at any time, and the whole site would just go down, right?
Well, anybody who has access to Heroku could also mess with our Heroku instance if we wanted, right?
Correct. Yeah, I'm saying, but it's just as security. We have to be just as security conscious with this. Whoever we give access to what? Is this access to the Lightsail account? And that's the person who could do this.
Yeah.
Okay. Docker compose up -d. If you just do Docker compose up without the -d, what happens?
So that would be. That would give you this page. So you could see if you press Control-C, it would stop. So, or if you close the terminal.
Like a local server, like running it on your. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So we would definitely want to always do the -d and then control. Can you try that? Can you do the Docker compose up with the D and press Control-C and see if, just for my peace of mind, knowing that it will not stop then?
I'm going to press Control-C now. You can see nothing's happening.
Okay, great. All right, that's very helpful. Wait, but it should be up though, right?
Yeah, wait, let me stop it. Okay, wait, let me check the logs. You can also check the logs by running docker compose logs web,
Okay.
which is pretty useful if you want to debug anything. Oh yeah, let me talk about the update actually. So this is the update command I wrote. So this will be what you would run if you want to update the server. So what this does is essentially it pulls the latest changes, and then it stops and it restarts the server.
So
one more thing.
That's the equivalent of git push Heroku master.
Yeah, we'd run it at the same time.
Now, how is it connected to our GitHub account?
No, you would, for example, if I were to run /update, you would have to enter your credentials.
But how is it knowing which GitHub account to? Is that just because we're in that repository?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and what's the maximum downtime we would have? So this is doing it right now. It's taking it offline, updating it, pulling, and then pushing all the changes?
Yeah.
So this is very similar to Heroku then.
Yeah.
In that sense. And so right now it looks like it only took maybe 30 seconds, yeah?
Well, it also has to do the production build, which takes approximately a minute or two.
So would you say overall, no matter how complex the app and the gets and how big the code base, it will never take longer than 5 minutes under most circumstances?
I think for a reasonable code base, for our size, it would probably not take anything more than 5 minutes. If it would probably depend on, like, if, for example, if we had a lot of JS files, or if we had thousands of JavaScript files, it would probably take longer in that case, because it has to do the production build for each one of those individually.
Okay. Oh, this looks very familiar. This looks just like pushing the Heroku.
Yeah.
It's just this makes me feel a lot better because it's somewhat familiar. Yeah, and that's important so that we don't feel like we're completely in new territory. And how would we have to manually put we are taking a break right now, but we're back shortly, or does it automatically show that HTML page we created once we do the update command?
It would automatically show it. So it would show the update page whenever it can't connect to the server.
Is that something that's going to happen often?
Well, it would happen when we're like restarting it, right?
But you're saying it's again, a lot of these questions are rhetorical. It's Amazon, which is obviously a very reliable company, but this is our company we're talking about, so we need to be sure. You're saying that there is a almost slim to no likelihood anyone will ever see this page unless Lightsail itself is down. Well, actually, if Lightsail is down, then this page won't even show, right? Yeah,
but I don't think from the years I've used AWS, I've never had just like Lightsail crash. Okay. I think AWS does put a lot of work because I know AWS runs servers for a lot of other companies too.
Isn't Heroku run on AWS?
Yeah, I believe so actually. So AWS went down.
So
we'd be down anyways.
Okay. All right. Now, can you show the page? I want to ask you two questions. And can you show again how we would? You don't have to press enter. How would we? We've already pushed new changes. We've merged to master.
Yeah.
How do we know that you're in the master branch, by the way?
We could go do BD community git status, and we're on origin/master.
Were you on master before?
Yeah, this is always on master.
Okay. So this here, we would never go to development at all.
Yeah, we should not.
So we could
unless we want to deploy from development.
Which is very unlikely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say we just finished some work. We got our approvals on GitHub and we merged something that we just did to master. What do we write on here?
We would write /update .sh.
And that runs that update shell file.
Yeah.
Does that also run the Docker file as well, or that's different?
It would run it internally on the back end.
Okay.
So the Docker file, remember, tells us how we want the application to be deployed.
Okay. And so then we would do that. It would run this code that we just saw right up above that looks similar to Heroku. The update shell file will automatically put the "we are taking a break" code page. And then when it's done, then we do the Docker, whatever that file was. What was that? Start the server again?
No, this should also automatically start the server.
Oh, so it's one command. It does it all for us.
Yeah.
And how will we know when it's complete? Is it like, is there like, I know with Heroku it says congratulations, you can now visit it on this URL.
I did not write that advanced. I've not written that part yet, but
That's okay. I mean, whatever it says right now, just is there something that like, is there a line of code that we know? Okay, it's done, and it's successfully relaunched.
Here, I can do. Let me.
You just ran update.sh, but it didn't do anything. Why is that?
I didn't run it. I control C
out of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we do docker compose logs -f, that will display all the logs, and it follows the logs too. Actually, do -f/web, -f web, and when we see this pop up,
yes,
that means the server.
That looks very comfortable and reassuring.
Yeah.
To see that. Okay, great.
That would be one.
Is there a date on there or something that shows us exactly when it started, or like do we know that we're looking at the most up to date, or is this just linked to it so it's at the bottom of the list so we know it's the most up to date?
So this is in sequential order. So if it's at the bottom of the list, it would be the most up to date.
Okay, and then obviously we could just double check by like we always do with a full test of the site.
Yeah.
Next question. Now, because we talked about a time where we might want to run a different page. Remember, like we want to have the break diving day and everybody goes out into the world and is not on the internet. Is there a way we could create a separate page that says, hey, today is your day off from social media. Come back, and there's a timer and it just counts down to we're back online in 24 hours, 23, 22, 21, etc.
You could. One way to do it would be to just modify the error page, right? I mean, if we change this file, we could just make it display whatever we want.
So could we essentially just have both of them right there and just have half of it commented out?
Yeah, we could do that.
And then whenever we want to switch back and forth, just uncomment the HTML?
Yeah. Or we could even do it fancier with JavaScript and like hide one based on like a Boolean variable.
Awesome. That would be your job once you go. But the short-term solution would work just by doing that. If so, that's fantastic. I think that we were struggling with Heroku to try to do it, and we never got around to figuring it out. And this would be just as an opportunity. Can you comment this out and make a new H1 that says, "Hey, we're taking a break," or break diving day is an H1. I just want to see how it would actually work with you commenting that out, and then just put another H1. Welcome to break diving day. Cool. And so now all we need to do is stop the server by doing that special command docker compose stop.
Oh, one thing, you have to run it in the home directory. So you have to use cd tilde, which gets you back home. Docker compose.
I think it's tilde, not toda. Both of them sound like names from the 1830s. Hello, this is tilde and toda. So how did you get the what directory were you in?
I was in the errors page because I was.
Oh, because you were modifying that. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll write up all this stuff later into a nice little handbook. We'll go over the video and we'll figure out all these shortcuts that you're figuring out. Then you did done, and and that automatically, let's say somebody were using the site. Somebody's on the site,
Mhm.
and automatically they press post.
Yeah.
And they press post at the exact moment that we are updating.
Mm.
What happens? This is why we need to actually start adding drafts for posts. But
Yeah.
would it immediate? Would they get an error, or would they come to this page?
I believe they would come to this page actually.
Even though they pressed post, like you're saying, any server request will direct them to this page,
Yeah.
even though that's not the route.
Yeah.
Why?
Because so how this works is actually we have to, if we scroll down a bit, it's in Caddy. So Caddy is it's a middleware. So it sits between the user and the actual break diving server. Because if you recall on the Docker Compose file, we told it to run at port 3000, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the default HTTPS port is actually, I think, 433 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we need a caddy file or caddy. And this is actually very convenient because it also automatically spins up it automatically gets us HTTPS. So you can see here our connection is secure, right? So caddy handles that for us.
Mm-hmm.
And the way caddy works is it reverse proxies, or it sends all of the connections it gets to a backend, or in this case, localhost 3000 over here. But what happens when it doesn't get a connection is it errors, and that's where we handle the error over here, and we send it the 502 error.
Oh, interesting. So you're saying every time there's a problem with a server request and it's not coming back properly, or even if it's the route doesn't exist or the member got deleted or the URL is wrong, it'll go to this error page? Or it has to be a
Well,
502 error?
Yeah, so 502 errors would be by caddy specifically, but we could also handle, for example, 404 errors if we wanted on caddy.
Interesting. Okay. So ultimately, right now, what is a 502 error? What's the definition?
I believe it's let me check this actually to be sure. Bad gateway. So what that means is it's something that only caddy would use. It's when the gateway, which is caddy, can't find the backing server or BD community.
And if it encounters, for example, look, we have Sentry working.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that would Sentry errors still get triggered, or do we lose that benefit?
Sentry errors would get triggered when there's an error in the application code. So for example, if we trigger a nil pointer, right, that would be a Sentry error. But if the application isn't started, that would be a 502 error.
Okay, so the 502 is only the site is not up.
Yeah.
So if the site is up, but the route is bad because it's going to a Rails routing issue, that'll trigger the Sentry error.
Yeah, that would trigger the Sentry error.
I see. Okay.
So it'd be the same as what we already have in Heroku, except for.
Can we test
Yeah,
that?
actually, no.
Can you turn up the server again and then let's just put in a bad URL and just see what happens? Do you use Vim all the time or just on here?
I use Vim occasionally. I use it when I'm developing on remote servers like this.
Got it. Yeah, I can imagine it would be a lot easier. All right, so let's just put a fake. Whatever.
Actually, wait, let me pull up my password.
Well, you don't even need to sign in, do you? God bless you.
Um,
Can you just go to like sign U or sign A, whatever? There we go. Okay, and that might trigger a sentry.
Yeah. Well, it behaves
Actually,
the same way.
this wouldn't because it's actually giving the proper response.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So anyway, this is moving very nicely. So can we go back a few steps now to how then did you import our Heroku or Postgres database
Yeah.
and bring that
So,
over?
so that's a different service. So this is Amazon Lightsail, right? That is database is hosted on something called RDS, which stands for Relational Database Service. And the idea is it just lets you host database services in the cloud.
So you're not signed into Lightsail, you're signed into AWS database services.
Yeah. And now I'm going to RDS.
RDS.
So we have a database instance here.
Now this is the break diving account?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, let me make sure there's no sensitive information here first before I click on it. Okay. Yeah, this should be fine. So this is our database, and I believe I put steps for how to spin up a database too. But,
I saw database migration right below, and you did something with PG Loader.
oh, that's a bit separate. This is spinning
So
up
is
the
this the
database.
same thing as the Heroku dashboard that we have for Postgres?
Yeah,
Similar?
it'd be very similar.
Okay, so where does it show our database space?
Let me check. Free storage. We have a bit over 15 gigabytes right now.
And just out of curiosity, what's the equivalent of the 10 million lines we have on Postgres on Heroku right now? Do you have any idea how many gigabytes that takes up?
Let me take a look, actually. I believe this database costs around $10 a month. I'm not sure. We have 6 million rows right now, which is just under a gigabyte of memory.
Wait, so we have 6 million on the instance that you spun up on Lightsail from our current database numbers.
Yeah. Well, on
Okay.
Heroku. I'm looking at the Heroku dashboard right now.
Actually, so wait. So wait, we should have the exact same amount of data then in Lightsail in this database. Can't we just see how many gigabytes or megabytes we're using? Would that be?
I haven't updated it recently, so it'd be slightly out of date.
I'm sure it's
but-
slightly out of date, but it's close enough. I'm just curious to know whatever database data. It was only like a month ago, right?
Yeah, let me check. I'm not sure if you can see, or I don't know how to see how much used space, but here's how much free space we have.
Click on the free space thing again. Then look at the top metric. Can you change the metric in the top left to like how much is used?
Check. Swap user.
Got to be something on here that. How odd! I mean, that's very strange that it's only showing free storage space, not how much is.
Actually, I believe there's a way to see the total storage space you have, and you can just subtract from there.
There's something in the previous page. There's CPU used by 3% from it, or something like that. 3 point something percent.
It wouldn't be the memory though. It would be.
I don't know. I saw it down there. 3 point.
Looking at Heroku right now, we have 900. We have just under a gigabyte of memory used, so it's probably comparable to that in orders of magnitude.
And here we have 15 gigabytes.
Yeah, and I believe this is the lowest or second lowest tier.
So this is what we need to do is to figure out how much it's going to cost. I mean, if it took us a year to get to 1 gigabyte, and if we continue to grow, I mean, we're going to hit 15 gigabytes maybe the next year or two. So let's just look at pricing for that and write that down. AWS Postgres. So,
Hmm. I don't think they have. Oh, they don't have the statistics. Let me try spinning up a new database. See if they have it here. Okay, yeah. So I guess we can choose how much memory we want to have.
so what's the allocated storage is in gigabytes?
Yeah.
So let's just say how much is 500 gigabytes? I'm just curious. How much would that cost? What's IOPS? Do we need to worry about that?
It's I/O operations per second, which is how fast we can write to it. But 1,000 should be more than enough.
Okay. So that's $744 per month.
Let me check. Provisioned IOPS. I think we. Okay, yeah. A lot of these are extra. Oh wait, why do we have a large?
DB instance size.
Yeah, okay, we probably want one of these. Yeah, like a micro. I guess we can do a micro with how much memory?
Make sure that
With
that's not.
500.
Make sure it's not in the red because maybe it's not being counted in the cost. Go up a little higher. Like just press the button or something so that it goes up to 101. Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
And then what is that about per month? 175.
$100 is from provisioned IOPS, which I'm not sure why it costs so much, but
So
oh wait, we could do general purpose there.
it only went down by $5. That's funny. So 500, and that brings us to about 175 a month, and that's that was for 500 gigabytes, right?
Yeah. Should I look at 5,000?
Yeah, let's just see how it's going to scale.
It's $600 a month.
So honestly, that's not bad.
It's pretty good, I think.
I mean, by that time of 5,000 gigabytes, I mean, right now we're doing 1 gigabyte. So, I mean, by that time we should be making enough money that we can cover that cost. Yeah. Okay, that's great to know. And all right, so we were talking about how to actually create the Postgres database on the new server, and then how to actually transfer everything. Oh, how did you created that database on there? How do you link it to our repo here to this?
I use something called PostPG which lets you easily migrate between two different PostgreSQL instances.
No, but I mean, but how did you first? You just set up. Let's just say you were on RDS.
Mm-hmm.
How do you link this to our BD community app? How did you link it to the app?
So there's a username and password that if you click on it, it will show you. And then you could take that, and then I would put that in the prod.env within the database URL environmental variable.
So that prod.env is another environmental variable that's part of the Docker thing?
Yeah.
And then it connects automatically to that RDS and links it to the community.
Well, the way our database works is we can specify we can tell it where to connect to by using the database URL variable. So I just specify that, or I put that in the prod.env file.
You put the database the database URL was created on Amazon RDS?
Yeah, or it's in there, yeah.
And then you took that and put it in the prod.env?
Yeah.
And that's all you needed to do to connect the database to the app?
Yeah.
Okay. So once that's done, then how do you grab the database from Heroku?
I use something called pgloader, which essentially you just give it two databases, and it takes one and it puts it into the other.
And you literally, what do you just log in on each of them with the correct passwords?
Yeah, you would just give it the username and password for both of them, from, to, and then it
Can
would
you just go
take
to
one and
PG
put it.
Loader just so I can see what it looks like, just the home page? Is
Um,
it a home page? Is it just like a homepage service?
It's documentation.
Oh, so you did it within the Ubuntu command line?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
this specific command I used.
PG, oh, so you created a PG Loader file.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Well, I downloaded it, and then the actual specification or what I wanted to do is a db.load, but it also has credentials in it, so I probably shouldn't show it on this slide screen.
Okay. So just so I understand, what did you do from PG Loader, like from these docs? What did you create that was not already here in the database on the directory structure?
I created the db.load file, which tells it how I want, or it tells it what to do essentially. I gave it a from database and a to database, and it takes the data and transfers it.
And in db.load, you put the usernames and passwords?
Yeah.
Okay, and that stays local to here. That does not get posted to any server, right?
Yeah, we should not mess with that.
So who has access to the db.load? How do you gain access to it? Only through the Lightsail
Yeah,
terminal?
only through the Lightsail.
And nobody could hack into it from breakdiving.io.
That would be a very big security flaw on our part. So
Okay. You mentioned prod.env also has information about that. Oh, the prod.env connects the RDS database to this repository.
yeah,
Then the db.load uses PG Loader to transfer the data from one database to another, or to provide the code that will do the transfer. Then do you need to actually run another line of code to actually run the db.load file?
yeah.
So what is that?
That would be this line.
Oh, so it happens in that PG Loader file, db.load file? I'm confused. We're in Vim right now, and we're looking at the what file is this? PG Loader?
This is the command I would run.
Oh, that's the actual command. Where did you
Yeah.
find it? Where was that located?
It's in db.sh.
So you went to db.sh, and that's how you
Yeah.
found this. And
Yeah, so this is just a convenience thing I wrote. If you run this, it would migrate the data.
got it. Okay, so and you wrote the db.sh file yourself.
Yeah,
And then you run this db.sh command right there.
Mhm.
And now that's not going to be this. Would that be the same? Let's say we do another one, transferring another one of our sites from Heroku to Amazon Lightsail. Would these shortcuts already be part of it based on the code, or we'd have to write those again?
we would have to change the db.load file to change the usernames and passwords, but everything else should be the same.
But periods / db.sh would work.
Well, we would also have to copy over db.sh.
Copy it over from.
This instance, or
Yeah, we need to create a db.sh file.
yeah.
But you said you created a shortcut. That's period / Where did you create that? Or is that part of the db.sh file?
No, /db.sh runs db.sh.
But is that a shortcut you wrote, or that's just a command that's unique to Ubuntu here?
That's a shortcut that I wrote.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, so where is it? Where is this shortcut? And is it going to work out of the box, or do we have to create these shortcuts for each transfer from Heroku?
// is just the current directory, right?
Uh-huh.
And then if we want to run a script inside the current directory, we just write its name. So for example, there's two scripts here. One is db.sh. If we want to run that, we could do /db.sh. If we want to run update.sh, we could write update.sh.
Now, is that unique to Ubuntu here, or I'm saying, or did you somehow create these shortcuts?
That's a property of Linux.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Okay, got it. And as soon as you run db.sh, it automatically transfers everything over, and you don't have to do anything else.
Yeah, well, it would take a few minutes, around 5 to 10 minutes.
Does it transfer user passwords as well?
Yeah.
And
Well,
it
it transfer everything.
Absolutely everything.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Okay, next question is, what about the backups? Does AWS Lightsail or RDS, does it do automatic backups for free for us? Or do we have to manually do the database backups?
I believe there's a way to do automatic backups, but I think it also costs more money just because AWS charges more for everything. There should be a way to manually do backups too.
Even if it's manual and we can do it once every week, I mean, that's fine. But
Yeah, you can take a snapshot. Yeah, that'd be a backup.
just click that and see what happens. Snapshot name. Let's just do a snapshot and just see what happens. Test.
And I believe these snapshots cost money, but we could probably also download it and then delete it.
How would we download it?
I think it's taking it right now, but once it finishes,
Oh, it's not done yet.
yeah, we'd be able to download it and then.
Does it tell you how many how the size of it here?
20 gigabytes, I believe. I'm not sure actually. Yeah, I have to do more research into this, but
yeah, it says progress
0%.
0%. It's creating it. Okay, so maybe we could come back to that in 5 minutes after you. Okay, so that's great to know. So then now that we've migrated, we've set up the site on and the repo on Amazon Lightsail, we set up Redis, we set up Postgres, and we've now migrated the database. Now all we'd have to do is Docker whatever start.
Yeah, and then
And
we'd be done.
do we have to
Docker
migrate
goes
the
up.
database? Or does that happen automatically?
We should, yeah, you'd have to run this ./db.sh too. But I've already ran it and it takes a while. But it would look like this.
db.sh, the one that transfers from one database to another?
Yeah.
Why are we doing that now? Are we on the test instance?
No, we're on the BD community instance.
What is this going to do? It's just going to overwrite the old data?
Yeah. So it'd be the most up to date.
Interesting. So we're actually doing this transfer right now using PG Loader. Okay.
Yeah.
And usually sometimes when we push to Heroku, we have to do Heroku run rake db migrate. Do we have to ever do that here?
No, I believe that's done automatically. Let me. Yeah, canceling this is annoying. It would be, I believe it's specified in the Docker.
What is specified? That it will
migrate. Yeah, wait. Actually, yeah, we would probably have to run the migrate command too.
So if we did that, how do we run the command rake db migrate on Lightsail?
We could actually.
And from which directory would it be?
I'd probably actually have to add it in here. I haven't had to do it for this test instance because we've just been copying from the master database. But in order to migrate,
Just put an and bundle exec Rails db migrate.
Yeah.
Do you have to add Rails too?
Oh yeah. Probably like that.
I see. So, and this is which file are we in now? The
Docker Compose.
Docker Compose. Okay. Rails DB migrate. Okay. And does it cause any problems if we're migrating the database, even if there's nothing new that needs to be migrated?
No, I think it would just exit. It just wouldn't do anything.
Okay. So that file is what happens every time you start the server, basically. And that right now it would be running the rake db migrate command.
Yeah, but since there's nothing to migrate, it just doesn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's compiling the assets.
But I think this covers pretty much everything, right? A broad overview.
Yeah.
So as a test, what I could do then is I could log into the, for the two tests. One, I could try on my own to copy terms of service fairness over and see if I can get that thing to launch. I'll probably need to come get some help from you as we're doing
the
that.
test instance right now.
Yeah, that's fine. 'Cause I want to go through the whole process myself and make sure I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll also go into the BD community instance you created, and I could probably just start doing these different commands of starting it, stopping it, playing around with the. I guess I would have to learn how to use Vim, right?
Yeah, that would help for editing files.
I don't understand how we could how could you possibly do this without Vim? Oh, we'd have to push everything to. Wait, how would we do it without Vim?
Well, for like if you were just developing the application, right? You could write the code locally, push it to GitHub, and then we pull it onto Lightsail. But if you wanted to modify the deployment, for example, if you want to modify the Docker Compose file, then you would need to use Vim.
So this Docker Compose file, but is it now part of the repository?
It's not, but I can make it part of the repository.
I mean, does it make sense? I don't know. It seems like it would make sense to have all these files be part of the repo so that we have them there, right? Or
yeah, actually, yeah, it would make sense. I should probably move it in.
Now the Docker
If we were
YAML, does that mean that other people would not be able to see it?
Huh?
That YAML file, is that a protected file?
No. YAML just stands for configuration.
But I'm saying, does it have is this something that's unique to us, or is this is not sensitive information? I don't think, right?
This is not sensitive.
Okay. Is there anything else that you think I should know, that Leo should know, just in terms of getting a basic general idea so I can start testing this? I'm going to have Ileana and Bhavya and Kelly and everybody watch this video too. But
nothing comes to the top of my head. I think one thing that I'm going to be trying to work on is I know GitHub has a way to automatically deploy applications. It'd be cool if we could.
We actually had it set up like that. You can look into it more. Maybe it makes sense. It kind of got a little scary because things were just getting deployed as soon as we pushed something and it got merged or something, boom, it went live. That may be a good thing, or it might be a recipe for disaster.
I think doing it against master might make sense, just because we already have a lot of, we need 2 PR reviews. No one else can merge to master.
And then what would that be? Like we would come in, what you're saying, that we would set it up so we wouldn't even have to come into Lightsail?
Yeah.
We just would press merge to master, and as soon as it merges to master, it'll run the Docker file?
Yeah.
That is kind of cool. The frightening part is and as Leo knows this, it's easy to merge something, and I don't know why GitHub doesn't have restrictions on merging. That means anybody could accidentally press merge to master, and boom, that thing goes live
Yeah.
on the site until GitHub has a way to restrict it to only certain people and or to have an approval where two people have to press the merge button. I feel like I think it's still kind of risky,
Yeah,
but
that's fine.
yeah, please research it. If it's something that we can figure out down the line, great. I have already told GitHub about this and they said that's a good idea. Who knows if they'll ever do anything. What are you working on right here? What's this?
I'm adding two things to the git ignore,
Git
which
ignore?
which means it won't be added to the GitHub. It won't be pushed to Git. First is data, which is we talked about this previously, but this is the mounted volume. And the second is the prod.env, which contains our secrets that we don't want people to have access to.
Okay. And now is that prod.env? Is that'll never be on anybody's local repos? Is that what you're saying?
That should not.
So the only place it will be is here on Lightsail.
Yeah. We should be very careful with this file. I guess that's one thing to keep in mind. If someone were to get access to our database, they would essentially be a super admin. They could do whatever they want. So
If they had
we need to
access to
protect.
prod.env.
Yeah, we need to protect our environmental secrets.
What about, let's say we add a new feature to the site that also needs keys. How can we add those keys? Do we have to manually come in here to the prod.env?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no way to push from the command line, like get like set for Figaro set production, blah, blah.
No, it's not that fancy, unfortunately.
Not like that. Okay, so
Yeah.
Any new keys, we need to add the actual production keys to prod.env.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be that big of an issue, I think, because you can just connect easily to the web terminal and then Vim.
Okay. And we should do a dive for Vim.
Yeah.
Honestly, that Vim alone is an art form, it seems like. So to access all the stuff, if you just do a basic tutorial on Vim commands, you should be okay.
Yeah, you just need to it's a bit confusing at first, but it's honestly not bad.
Maybe what you can do later, maybe sometime this week, is write up the basic Vim commands we would need to do. Add that to your document.
Okay.
In terms of like how to launch things, I'm going to go through this whole video and write down all of the different code things and the instructions you gave. And then maybe we can compare notes and make sure that we have a really good instruction manual for this.
Yeah.
Help poor children in Uganda. Awesome. Leo, I know this was probably an overwhelming adventure for you, but do you have any questions? I mean, someone is a really newbie to coding. Maybe you saw something I didn't and noticed anything. Do you have any questions or comments?
My head is like spinning around, so yeah, I got a lot of things, but I don't know.
So, basically, go ahead.
I know. Actually, it's I just took maybe a nutshell about the servers because I didn't know anything about how to run servers and what you are doing in servers exactly and how to use them. So it was useful actually.
Cool. So yeah, this is a much more complicated version of Heroku. So Heroku is what we're on now. It's easy to use but expensive, whereas Lightsail is a lot more affordable, but as you can see, it requires a lot more expertise, and we're grateful that Robert is on the team to help us. So if you're watching this, we've posted this on our Breakdiving YouTube channel. Actually, you can stop sharing, Robert. I think we're good. And I'll just finish up this. My name is Monroe Mann. I'm the founder of Breakdiving. Robert and Leo are two of our many volunteer, awesome staff members all around the world. We're a New York not-for-profit. Breakdiving's mission is to offer a brand new type of social media that's focused on the user. And our mission is to increase our users' happiness, friendships, and success around the world. We're doing a fantastic job so far. We just hit 100 active members. Doesn't seem like a big thing in the big scheme of things, but it is a huge accomplishment, and it's given us the confidence and the assurance that I think we're in the right direction, and that's why we have to transfer over to a different hosting service, because Heroku's been wonderful, but it's a little bit too expensive, and it's going to grow out of hand. If you would like to actually join the community that we were all talking about here the last hour and a half, please come to breakdiving.io. I'll put the link in the comments. We always are recruiting for new, that's right. We're always recruiting new volunteers. So if you're interested in coding, marketing, accounting, and general operations, we would love to have you. At this time, everybody's a coder. You don't need a coder to start the onboarding application process, but in order to join the team, you're gonna have to know basic coding skills. And we help you. We help you in the breakdiving community to become qualified to volunteer with us, because we need all the help that we can get. So thank you all for joining. I hope this helped you. I'm sure it's going to help a lot of people, this video, and we give hats off to Robert in Washington State, who helped put this together and did all the work over the last 2-3 months figuring this all out. And so you can make sure to say thank you to Robert as well in the comments. And you see him smiling there, a little bit of pride, well-deserved pride for his amazing acumen, knowledge, and generosity. So thank you so much, everybody. Robert, Leo, good to see you both. And we'll have another one of these videos soon, Robert. Once I get my hands on trying this out, I'll have everybody test them out too, and we'll all learn together how to become Docker, Caddy, and Lightsail and RDS quasi-experts.